In this episode, we are here to talk about Premier League, English Premier League with Jack. Jack, long time no see.
I'll see you again. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Let's hope this year we're going to have many episodes about the Premier League, and we'll be able to inform our audience about what the ins and outs, what's going on, about your team, who's in trouble.
Yeah,
The season hasn't started yet, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting season. So let's begin with day 5, and I will start with the results. Newcastle leads 1-1. Wolves, Bradford 0-2. Burnley, Arsenal, win for Arsenal 1-0. Liverpool, Crystal Palace 3-0. Man City, Southampton scoreless draw. Norwich, Watford 1-3. Aston Villa, Everton 3-0. Brighton, Leicester 2-1. West Ham, Man United, a very dramatic ending 1-2. And Tottenham, Chelsea 0-3. Another win for Chelsea. And let's see who's at the top of the table. Liverpool, unfortunately. Let's not forget that football is an entertainment. So,
still early.
Yeah, I know it's early, but I mean, I know a lot of fans they take it so seriously they cannot even make a joke. But yes, Liverpool is top of the table. Chelsea in the second place with 13 points, and Man United with 13 points, and then is Brighton, and then Man City, and. At the top of the bottom of the in the relegation zone is Newcastle, Burnley, and Norwich with no points at all. So before we start our discussion, let's mention day 6 as well. It's a very interesting match on the 25th. Chelsea, Man City. Manchester United, Aston Villa, Everton, Norwich, Leeds, West Ham, Leicester, Burnley, Watford, Newcastle, Brentford, Liverpool, Southampton, Wolves, Arsenal, Tottenham, another London derby, and Crystal Palace, Brighton. So,
where do you want to start? At the top of the table?
Yes, let's start from the top. Yes.
Well, obviously Liverpool are top, but a lot of people don't think. I think they're going under the radar a little bit. They're not classic favourites. They've got a good squad. They've still got a good team. But
I think the bookies have Chelsea.
I think they might have Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think they might have Man City.
Man
United. Now you've got Ronaldo. Maybe Liverpool.
I think it's Liverpool and then Man United.
You say Liverpool, yes, but Liverpool are just sneaking with the bookies. But Liverpool, I think, are just slowly going about their business, getting the wins, playing good football, scoring lots of goals. And they are impressive, Liverpool. But I think people are focusing more on Chelsea because they're the new team. They're fresh players. They've just won the Champions League.
And also Liverpool, they haven't really strengthened their squad. Just I think one.
Just the defender, Canati. They've only had one signing, so it's similar players. So it doesn't feel like there's a fresh look. Same manager, obviously. Tuchel's quite a new manager at Chelsea, and they've got a fresh look. And
Chelsea are more of a balanced squad, and very difficult to score against them, and they have very good attackers. So,
what have you made of the top few sides this season? What do you think to Liverpool and Chelsea and Man City? And then we'll talk about
Man City again. They signed Grealish. Of course, it was a strong squad, to be honest with you, but they need to have depth, all these teams, because they're going for 3-4 titles. They're not just going for the Premier League. Man United, everybody's talking about the midfielders, and it's true. They haven't got somebody who's, got to be a dominant force in midfield, even though Varane in defense. He's shown his leadership skills. He's very consistent. So, but is the team starts to defend from your attackers. It's not just from the midfielders. So if your defense is exposed all the time because you don't have a strong midfield players, then definitely the opposition will create a lot of chances and they will score goals. So it's a long season. But it's the weak point for Man United. For Chelsea, I don't see any weaknesses so far, and they are the European champions. Don't forget, so they have the momentum with them. It looks like they found the chemistry with the new manager and the team, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it will be challenging for the title until the end. And Man City, I think they will be there or thereabouts as well. It's going to be a very interesting season.
Yeah, there's lots of teams in it this time. I think last season Man City won it by quite a mile in the end, quite many points in the end. But this season it's going to be a lot closer. Do you think Ronaldo will make the difference between top four and title contention for Man United?
Don't forget last year Man United, they finished second.
Yeah, but do you think maybe he elevates Man United from second to champions, or do you think he doesn't make that much
a goal machine, Jack. He's a goal machine. He's not up to the Premier League speed anymore. You can see that. He conserves his energy. He's 36, went to 37. But just if you see him, that a lot of the times the defenders, they think that they have him covered, and then with just one very quick movement, and he scores a goal. So he's especially in the box. Four goals in 3 matches. So it's and it looks like they start creating this chemistry between Bruno Fernandes and him. Okay, I think the biggest advantage for signing Ronaldo is for the young up-and-coming players. He's a leader. I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, talking to all the other players in the warm-up. Trying to pump them up, and so you need this kind of.
So he brings a lot of off the field stuff as well, definitely. And he sells a lot of shirts as well. But that's not a problem.
Well, it doesn't. It goes to Adidas.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah.
People think that it's the clubs that are getting the money. It's just that
it's good for the brand, even bigger brand, because Man United haven't won the Premier League for many years now, so it's good for the brand. They're more of a big player maybe now.
Yes. West Ham, very good team as well.
Yeah, did you see some of the game at the weekend? Did you watch the game?
Yes, I
what did you think to the end of the game where they brought on Mark Noble just to take the penalty? Just to take the penalty, first touch.
Yes, there's been a lot of discussion about this, and if you don't have, if the manager feels that, or if the players don't want to take the penalty kick, the ones you're already on the field, right? And you have somebody with his experience, Noble, and he's not somebody who's just you just bring him on because he's a very good penalty kicker. He's got experience, okay. And also, don't forget that it's one of the rare occasions where De Gea saves a penalty.
Yes, he's not very good at penalty saving.
No,
he's got bad record.
So it was a strange couple of minutes, Lingard scoring, and then we have the penalty kick. So it's one team that we haven't discussed so far is Spurs. They had Harry Kane. It looks like he's not himself.
Yes, well, we've had all that drama with Kane, haven't we?
Yes, but the thing is, it was quite obvious that he wanted to go to Man City. It didn't happen, and regardless of the contracts, what a lot of people don't realize, regardless of a contract is just a piece of paper. At the end of the day, if the two parties are not 100% committed in that relationship, is worthless. Okay, so I don't know what happened, whether it was promised that this year was going to be moving out of Spurs or whatever, because there was a lot of discussion about this. The transfer didn't happen, and it looks like it is still affecting him psychologically.
I think so. I feel for Harry Kane. He's a top striker. He's playing for Spurs. They're not likely to make the top four with all these teams that we discussed, even in contention for the title, let alone top four. I think he's going to struggle to find the motivation now, because I have seen on social media via sources and via other journalists saying that they did have some sort of gentleman's agreement. He had that agreement with Daniel Levy, the chairman, to move on, at the end of the last season, and I believe it was really close.
Yeah, but everybody knows that Levy is a tough negotiator.
He's one of the toughest. He is the one of the toughest.
Yes, so we don't know what happened behind the scenes, why it didn't happen. And I think that was the reason why Man City wanted to sign Ronaldo.
Yes, before he went to United,
it's because last year, if you remember, they played quite a few matches without an out striker. It worked for them, but it doesn't always happen like this. So they wanted a renowned centre forward to put the ball in the net, because they have so many top players,
attacking players that aren't strikers, midfield attackers. Yeah, they have a really good squad.
So and the nearly draw was really a surprise, especially at home. And now we have this comment from Pep about
the
crowd, and then they created a reaction, and some people asked him to take it back, and says, why, we play in Europe and it was half full, and the stadium. So it's
not ideal circumstances, is it? It's not ideal, the club having that in the background, a bit of drama off the field. I think a lot of the media have played up on it. They've made it into a bigger story than it is. But then again, there isn't too much harmony between with the fans and Pep after that. So I think he was saying, look, we need more than 30. There was 36,000, which is quite a lot for Man City anyway. But in general, when you look at where they've come from, in terms of attendances, but for a first Champions League game in 18 months without fans, some people in the media and just in general were expecting more fans, and then they had more fans for the league game when he called on them to turn up, and then they drew 0-0. So I think he felt a little bit guilty after that, telling the fans to turn up and back us, and they then drew 0-0 with Southampton. So that was a disappointment.
The thing is, I've been to Old Trafford quite a few times, and it was really the silence was deafening.
Yes,
it's amazing.
I've experienced that too.
It's amazing. 76,000, and you just hear the pin drop. And say, well, come on. I mean, it's really. I can understand that. You need the passion of the fans, but if the team doesn't play well, so it
can be a counterproductive thing.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of the case at Man City, where they point out on the TV, you see clips and you see little pictures on social media of all the empty blue seats. It does not look good on the TV, on the camera. But you say that too. Yeah, you can have a completely full stadium, and it can be deafening, no atmosphere, or the fans are nervous, or the fans are not they're not happy, or they're angry with what's going on. And you've seen that at other clubs. I've seen that at Newcastle recently as well.
West Ham, for instance, they always have a really good atmosphere when you watch a West Ham game. And I read a very interesting stat. Is they have the COVID-19. The stat is that they have the second average gates, attendances after Man United.
Oh, right.
It's a big stadium.
Yeah, it is a big stadium. But they're filling the stadium.
But they're filling the stadium.
Yeah.
So I expected, Arsenal with the Emirates, but it was, apparently it's West Ham.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And obviously they've got that new stadium.
Of course, Arsenal, they're not doing that well.
No, they're not doing that well. That's a completely different thing. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal really, they're like a mid-table team now. They're not even anywhere near the top four. Remember all those years that
nobody's
Arsene Wenger
considering them top six.
No, well, all those years Arsene Wenger got them into the Champions League every season. And now they're nowhere near. What's gone wrong?
I think they're chopping and changing all the time. There is no consistency. When Arteta was hired, I believed that they were going to strengthen the squad and then find some kind of consistency. But they don't do that. It seems like they go one step in front and two steps backwards. This is what they are doing. And
they've spent the most money out of everybody this summer. And what have they got? They've not got the best signings, I don't think, either, for the money they've spent. They've got Ben White, who 50 million, young English player. Obviously, English players are always more expensive, but he's not really performed yet.
You know what they say. Money doesn't play football, so, it's not like when they say money talks. Here, money does not talk.
No, it doesn't in football. But they've seemed to have had the head of recruitment is Edu, who used to play the Brazilian guy, and he's really struggling. I mean, some of the players he signed Willian, on a free transfer, but paid a lot of money in wages, and he just didn't perform. He had one good game. First game of the season, he had a good game, and then after that, it's complete. They've released him, paid him off from his contract, or actually think he just left and lost the money. So there's short-term plans, or is it long-term plans? They need to decide what they're doing.
It looks like there is no clear vision, Jack. From the outside point of view, it looks like they don't have a clear vision. What is Arsenal's plan? Where are they aiming?
Yeah, what is the point? What are their targets? What are their targets in the league?
Exactly. It's not just, let's forget about Ronaldo, which is an exceptional case. A team needs to blend together. You need 26 players, 28, whatever the squad is, all of them to go in the same direction. It's a puzzle, and you need to put the pieces together. Okay, so in order for this to happen, you need the scouting department to have a very good scouting department. First of all, how you want to play, and then create the profile of the players to recruit. And then the scouting department to take over and find these players for the coaches to select the players to come in. They signed what's that Brazilian, the curly hair from David Luiz.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And you're just wondering, why did you sign David Luiz as a midfielder, as a centre half? He's not the most disciplined player, even from his Chelsea days.
Yeah, he was irrational or erratic. He was all over the place.
Okay, so the last few years, their defensive line, they always had a problem with the centre halves, either slow or inexperienced or this and that. So that's why I don't see a clear plan for Arsenal.
And I don't think they're tough enough for the English league. You see that when they played Brentford first game, they were just out-muscled. They were losing the second balls, the headers. They weren't physical enough, and they just weren't a very strong unit at the back. They've always been soft in defence.
Exactly.
Soft.
So that's another thing. The Premier League, the modern football, not just Premier League, but it's quite obvious in the Premier League. The players now, they are more. They have more physical presence. They are taller. They are more athletic. So if you're soft, that's it.
Yeah. Well, what about when Lukaku played against them for Chelsea this season against Arsenal? He absolutely destroyed them. They couldn't stop Lukaku. They couldn't prevent him from scoring or from turning, and it was just like a men against boys.
Yeah, it's when you watch a football match on TV, you don't realize how tall these players are nowadays and how strong they are. So you see, I mean, there was a lot of talk about Van de Beek. Okay, coming from Holland, a lot softer teams, Ajax dominating for so many years, and then coming to the Premier League, the adjustments that he had to make is unbelievable. This year, apparently, I mean, this summer, he worked a lot on the gym to get physically stronger. So it's not... Okay, for the supporters, it's always because football is a result-oriented industry.
And they want instant success, so it's taking him time.
Okay, so, but it's not black and white. It's you need to give some players to adapt more time. We have the one of the biggest examples is Di Maria. When he went to United, he was out of his depth. It looks like he was coming from Spain to England. He
wasn't suited to his game.
No, so it's you need to.
And Falcao, remember Falcao?
A lot of players because Premier League is completely different league from in Europe. The rest of the world, it's a completely different league. It's faster, stronger players. You have to be on top of your game all the time. Concentrate all the time. After the match against Wolves, when they asked Varane, he started laughing. He says, "You need to concentrate 100 minutes, whatever."
Constantly,
and also he says, "I really liked the match because you're adrenaline and you're always pumped up, but you need to concentrate until the final whistle. It's not like you don't have time. You don't have time."
No, there's no time on the ball, and that's why pace is everything in the Premier League. Even in defence, pace is everything. So if you've got slow, not very strong, weak defenders like Arsenal, really, they've got a little bit of pace on the fullbacks, but they just don't seem to have any presence. And I think any striker would fancy themselves against their defence. Whereas you look at Man City, they've got Ruben Diaz, they've got Stones, they've got people who can play, but also they've got that if they need to, they can get physical. They've got Ake in reserve. They've got players like Varane, strong. You need Maguire. He's massive.
Yeah.
You need players who can actually, and obviously Chelsea got Rudiger as well. You look at all the top clubs. They've got Van Dijk at Liverpool. They're all big, strong defenders, but also who can play the ball out from defence. You've got to have that mix.
Yeah, definitely. So let's discuss about some other teams like.
There's Leicester. Look at what's happened to them this season. They're a bit like Arsenal. They're not doing as well.
Yeah, they haven't started really well. Also Leeds, because Bielsa is not going to change his methods. He has a very distinctive style of play, doesn't he? And he just sticks to it. He's always done the same throughout his career, and he's been famed for it. But at times you sometimes do need to adapt. You cannot always score 4 and then win 4-3 all the time. It's not possible.
Especially not in the Premier League.
You need to have a balance, and of course it's very entertaining. But
it's very entertaining.
The football is entertainment at the end of the day. But if you're a Leeds supporter, I'm sure you're always on the edge of your seat.
Well, they have this thing, don't they? In the UK, they say about the Premier League teams that have gone up from the Championship. First season, if they do well, they then have a second season. They call it second season syndrome, where it's the second year. It's like a hangover from the first year, and they don't perform as well. So first season, brilliant. I mean, there's been other examples in the past, and then the second season, they've really dipped down. The levels have gone down. Other teams have figured out what they're doing. The coaches will be looking at what Bielsa's done from the first season and thought, well, I know how to defend against that now. I know the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So they get found out. They need to adapt to survive, really.
Yeah, definitely. And Norwich, I mean, no points at all.
It's not looking good for Norwich already, is it?
It's going to be really hard for them.
Really
to
hard.
Stay up.
I think they might end up going back down again.
Yeah.
They went down 2 seasons ago. They only got 21 points, and they might not even get that. I know it's only 5 games in, but it doesn't look good at the moment for Norwich.
Yeah. And your team, who had this takeover bid and didn't go through because of Premier League regulations. Mike Ashley is still there. The fans are upset. Bruce looks like an easy scapegoat.
He does. I think there's lots of different factors. Obviously, the Newcastle fans in the stadium were booing Steve Bruce. They were saying at the end, they were chanting "Steve Bruce out, Steve Bruce out." But it's not just him. Yeah, they're obviously upset with Mike Ashley and the situation. It's just been one big frustrating time, probably ever since Mike Ashley became the owner all these years ago. But
it's been going on for such a long time, which is very, is upsetting for the whole structure, and is okay. At least with Benitez, there was some hope that something was going to happen. Okay.
Yeah, he was worshipped like a god up there.
Bruce is a really nice guy, but the thing is, it looks like he's trying to get the points to survive, and throughout the years, if Newcastle were playing an exciting football. It was always difficult to go up there and play against them. The stadium, the passionate fans, but now it looks like they are, like if we avoid relegation, let's see whether the ownership will change and we start having some kind of plan. But this is a big club, and it's really unfortunate what is happening.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I think there's lots of different factors behind why the club's declining, not just from the owner. So obviously the owner doesn't invest that money in the players. There's hardly any. They didn't spend anything in the summer. It was just, there was no ambition there. But also you've got the training ground. It's like going back in time. It's one of the worst training grounds in the country, if not in the Premier League. I mean, you look at all the other clubs. Leicester have just opened a new one. Tottenham have got the new stadium with the new training complex as well. West Ham, all these clubs have got lovely, perfect training facilities that are attractive to the best players. Newcastle is up in the north of the country. It's a little bit colder. It's a little bit windier. And foreign players, and any players, but foreign players, when they're looking for a club, they want the whole structure. They want behind the scenes. They want investment. They want to see vision. But there's no vision. They're just stuck. They're just stuck. Newcastle just feel like they're just stuck there and they're not going anywhere. If it wasn't for, say, Alan Saint-Maximin and Callum Wilson, there's no other players really that excites me. When you watch the game, if they're missing through injury like they were last season for most of the season, there's nobody to get you off your seats, to get excited. I really want to watch this game. But those two players, they're the spark. And if Newcastle just are happy with 17th, 16th, or touching the relegation zone like they seem to be this season, going to happen, then those players are going to leave eventually, especially Alan Saint-Maximin. There's other clubs sniffing around him. And then where do you go from there? Do they invest the money? No, they'll just stay the same.
I watched the Man United Newcastle match, and he was really handful up front. It's just that... and it was a compact. Actually, I liked Newcastle in that match. It was really
Newcastle played quite well. In that game.
Played quite well, yes. But the thing is, when the opposition scores first against you, then you start losing your psychology. And if they get the second goal, then that's it. Then because it was not a 3-1 scoreline, I think it flatters Manchester United.
I think it was unfortunate for Newcastle. Of course, Newcastle had to be Ronaldo's first opposition. I mean, it was very unlucky for Steve Bruce. Ronaldo it's like a fever. It's his first game back, his second debut. Of course, it's bad timing.
I don't really agree with you because he was. He even said that Ronaldo afterwards that he was. It was his first match back after so many years. He was basically feeling it.
But he still scored, and he still changed the game.
Okay.
That's what my point is.
Yeah, but there was. I watched some pundits. They were saying if he doesn't score the first match back, then it would be, his psychology will drop, and he would be under pressure. I mean,
I think that's a bit over the top.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, he scored. I agree with you. It was an unbelievable atmosphere, and. If it didn't go, I mean, let's say it was a draw, then all this excitement will start fading away really early on.
Maybe so, yeah, maybe. But I think, even if Ronaldo was half fit, he would still, with all the atmosphere, all the people, all the people in the crowd with all the shirts on, they all got the printing and they're all really excited to go and see Ronaldo again. That can just carry them through. And I think that hysteria, that emotion carried them all through the game. And I think they sort of blew away Newcastle in the end, even though they didn't play that well.
Sometimes it doesn't work like that. If he is, to be honest with you, personally, I expected a difficult match because with all the hype and everything, sometimes doesn't go your way. You start getting all the anxiety and the pressure that we have to win today for the fans, for everybody.
Possibly, but you were only playing Newcastle. Maybe if you were playing Chelsea, it might be different.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. What else can we discuss about it? Because it's too early in the season.
It's hard to get too carried away. One thing I'd like to mention is the teams that have come up from last season. So Brentford, I mean, they've been impressive this season so far. They beat Arsenal in that first game of the season on the Friday night. They were really impressive. The crowd was all behind them. Like what I said about the emotion, it was really impressive, and you felt like they were your second team, and they've really impressed me actually so far this season. They beat Wolves 2-0 away at Wolves at the weekend, and they were good. Ivan Toney, the striker, is a handful. He's got pace, he's got power. He used to play for Newcastle. He used to play for my hometown team, Northampton, back in the day when he was a teenager. He's looking like a Premier League striker already, and he looks like a bargain when they signed him like a couple of seasons ago. He scored over 25 goals last season, and he's already got 2 this season. Not just him, they've got the manager, they've got the fans behind them. They seem to be on a good moment. They seem to be in a good position at the moment, but we'll see how they get on maybe as teams start to figure them out. A bit like what we said about Leeds. Teams might figure out their game plan. They are entertaining and they're attacking. So it'll be interesting to see how Brentford get on. We've said about Norwich, they're not looking good for Norwich. Completely different scenario with their team. They've got some good players, but they're probably not quite ready for the Premier League again. They're more like a top 3 Championship team and bottom 3 Premier League team, it seems. Obviously, the other one is Watford. They've come back after a couple of years as well. So Watford, I think they got a good win on the first game. They beat Aston Villa. They got a good away win. Who did they play? They played away at Norwich at the weekend. They won. That was a good win. But they've been a bit mixed. I think when the teams come up from the Championship, it is quite a big difference, and they have to spend. They have to spend to try and stay in the league. They have to make the gamble. But Norwich never seem to do that. Brentford haven't really done that. They've just got a team spirit that seems to be similar to Chelsea. They're behind the manager. They're all playing for him, and they've all got the same philosophy. They're all on board. So I think it's early, isn't it? It's only 5 games, but I think Brentford have impressed me the most out of the 3 teams that have come up so far this season. Norwich, it doesn't look good for them at all. And Watford, I think it will be close. Between them and Newcastle, possibly early stages to go down, I think.
One very important thing you mentioned is about the fans, because this year we have the fans back, and it makes a huge difference, especially for the stronger teams. Last year, you got to empty stadiums. play against Liverpool and get a result, or Chelsea or Man United. But this year with the fans, it would be a completely different ball game.
I agree, because remember last season it was unbelievable when Liverpool lost. I think it was like 5 or 6 games in a row at home they lost. I mean, that would just not happen this season. I'll be very surprised if they lost even a couple in a row. Or
everybody knows the unbelievable atmosphere at Anfield. So
it is famous for being really good.
Yes.
Especially when they've got their exciting players, they've got an attacking team, some players that they can really shout about and get excited about.
And this year, also Salah and Mane, they started really well. So
they've started really, really well.
If you remember last year, you were watching Salah and say, who's this player? I mean, he forgot how to play football. And this year, he's starting getting back to them. And Mr. Klopp, when they asked him about why the squad was not strengthened, he said, I don't see it like that. I have the players and they're good enough for the season. So and also he explained that they work quite differently at Liverpool. I don't know if it was a PR thing.
Possibly, yeah.
but
they started well. Well. It's hard to get too carried away. It's easy to get carried away, but it's hard to tell later on what's going to happen. Obviously, we're only 5 games in, but so far, all the teams you expect to do well, your Liverpools, your Chelseas, Man City, they obviously lost to Tottenham on the first game. We could maybe let that one go as a one-off or a bad start, and then Manchester United as well. They've played well. They've not played really impressively, but they've got the results. And you've got that really impressive away run as well, the away record as well for undefeated away from home. So It's early days, but it's been an exciting start. It's been an exciting start.
Okay, let's leave it at that, and we'll come back next time and analyze more the Premier League and this, in my opinion, the most exciting league in the world.
Definitely. Thanks, Nikos.